Whether shooting from a glove, killing with poison umbrellas, or hiding messages in the heels of shoes, spies have always used state-of-the-art gadgets and inventions. In the real Cold War and in James Bond. So who inspires whom? According to legend,
the head of the CIA once went to the movies and after the film went to his office and told the technicians to make exactly the same device as in the film.
There's more and more talk about Chinese weather balloons. Or are they actually spy balloons? Whatever the case, they could collect information secretly, and that's why the US shot them down. This kind of technology is indispensable for spying. A spy without gadgets is lost. Inventing them is like an arms race for the most ingenious contraptions. Some inventions are absurd, might not work properly or at all. But it's the gadgets that decide who wins the race. And of course, to find out what the other side is inventing, a lot of spying goes on. This former spy for East Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service, HVA, is an expert. He went by the codename 007 Ost.
My task was to find a source in the West German Ministry of Defense, or a subsidiary department, or even among NATO staff members stationed in West Germany.
We go searching for clues at the German Spy Museum in Berlin, that boasts the largest collection of genuine spy equipment in Europe. Contrary to what some might believe, spies don't actually kill people that often, but when they do, they tend to use devious methods. In 1978, a Bulgarian spy was killed with a poison umbrella. A film retraced it.
As Markov waited for a bus, he felt something sting his leg. He turned to see a man picking up an umbrella and running away.
Such cases make James Bond seem real. The legendary poison umbrella is on display at the Spy Museum in Berlin.
He knew that the Bulgarian secret services and the KGB were hot on his trail. He rushed to the doctor, described what happened, fell into a coma, and died 4 days later.
Did it really happen that way? Was the umbrella really the deadly weapon? No one knows. But the umbrella assassination is one of the great tales of espionage. The success of James Bond proves that there's a great deal of interest in atypical instruments of murder.
I want that ready for Ahmed's tea party.
All intelligence agencies have special technical departments. Regular spies aren't employed there, of course, but rather real experts from the fields of engineering or other technical fields.
But before a murder comes observation, or spying, the main activity of an agent. At the funeral of the East German dissident Robert Havemann in 1982 in East Berlin, the East German Secret Service, or Stasi, wanted to find out exactly who his friends and companions were. A watering can came into play, and Stasi agents dressed as gardeners.
There's a double compartment here. The camera was in the rear compartment, and you could put water in the front one. The shutter release was in the handle. Special practice was needed, of course, so that not just the feet but the faces of those attending the funeral could be photographed.
Hidden cameras were also used to spy on people travelling across East German territory to get from West Germany to West Berlin. An inconspicuous prop at service stations and parking lots was a fuel can with a built-in lens.
For every important process, we had specialists who developed things that were made in special workshops. To this day, I don't know exactly where they were, but they developed gadgets for various spies. I also worked with a lot of women. The gadgets had to fit, had to be secure, and they were pretty much unique. One heyday of spying was, of course, the Cold War, which was also a war of spies. Both sides wanted to find out how far the other's military had developed and whether there were plans to attack.
One top target of the East German secret services were the employees of the US military, such as at the Teufelsberg field station in Berlin. Psychological tricks were also used.
Blicken Sie ihr vor allem ins linke Auge. Die Seeeindrücke des linken Auges werden von der rechten Gehirnhälfte verarbeitet. Über das linke Auge führt daher ein direkter Draht zu den weiblichen Emotionen. Eine Frau, die in dieser Situation den Blick senkt, signalisiert ihre Unterwerfung. Wenn sie danach den Blick erwidert, bedeutet das, dass die Anziehung auf Gegenseitigkeit beruht. Ist der erste Blickkontakt hergestellt, machen Sie sich rar, damit in der Frau Verlangen wachsen kann.
The film describes the Stasi's Romeo method vividly. After the psychological tricks came technical finesse. Arranged love scenes were observed by a special camera.
This is what's called a pinhole camera, which the Stasi used to spy through a wall. All you need to monitor a whole room is a tiny, needle-eye-sized opening. Honey traps are a common method of espionage. A target is introduced to a lady or gentleman, and pictures are covertly taken of the encounter as evidence.
And used as blackmail material to elicit information. The Stasi could be very inventive, as shown by the educational films made for fledgling Secret Service agents. In this film, the Berlin apartment of a writer who's come under suspicion is being searched.
Die Durchsuchungskräfte überzeugten sich, dass sich niemand in der Wohnung aufhielt und schlossen die Wohnung von innen ab. Die Sicherungskräfte verblieben auf ihren Posten außerhalb der Wohnung. Die Mitarbeiter begannen mit der Durchsuchung des Wohnzimmers und fertigten, wie auch in den anderen Zimmern, zuerst Übersichtsaufnahmen mit einer Polaroid-Kamera.
The gadgets and devices the Stasi used were often invented by the Soviet Secret Service, the KGB.
Große Teile der vorgefundenen hand- und maschinenschriftlichen Aufzeichnungen, insbesondere solche, die strafrechtlich relevante Hinweise beinhalten könnten, wurden mit dem sowjetischen Yale-Gerät in der Küche dokumentiert.
Tiny cameras fitted into a keyring were perfect for photographing secret documents.
The original version of this camera was taken from a CIA agent, and the KGB made a replica. You take the clasp off, and the camera's at the front. And when you pull at the back, then it takes photos.
Sometimes the setup was more large-scale, like these infrared lamps installed in the side of a car, ideal for surveillance ops under cover of darkness.
The problem is that you need quite a lot of infrared lamps to bridge large distances. That's why there had to be several of them fitted into the door of the Trabant. It would be covered by a plexiglass pane, painted the same color as the car, so you couldn't see it.
The enemy, meanwhile, was equally inventive. The gadgets used by James Bond are legendary.
That's an underwater camera. It takes 8 pictures in rapid succession by pressing that button there.
Is that clever?
But if you can take pictures in the dark with an infrared film, yes.
Another classic tool of espionage is wiretapping, electronic eavesdropping. Florian Szymanowski shows us the tiny microphones known as bugs. The Oscar-winning film The Lives of Others features a memorable scene where the Stasi bugs an entire apartment in minutes.
Minuten.
These were often models that were originally developed in the US for hearing aids and then used for other purposes. As you can see, bugs easily fit inside a knife like this one.
And where there's one bug, there's usually another.
To this day, embassies are regularly searched ahead of visits by politicians to check if other secret services have hidden bugs. If they're radio bugs, then of course you can find them because they emit signals. You can locate them with a bug detector because it makes a sort of pling sound.
And plings always spell trouble. Clearly, this whole room has been bugged. Secretly gathering and passing along information is espionage 101.
Most agents, certainly over 90% or even more, are out to get information.
Probably the world's best-known machine to encrypt messages, now a collector's item, is the legendary Enigma cipher device used by the German military in the 1920s, and then by the Nazis.
This is the machine that the Nazis used to communicate in World War II, which meant everything was encrypted and thus uninterceptable by the enemy. But British intelligence managed to develop what was called the Bombe, originally designed by mathematician Alan Turing, which was able to crack the Enigma. Historians estimate that this shortened the Second World War by 3 to 4 years.
The apparatus included a set of rotors. The Nazis changed the rotor settings every 24 hours. Hollywood even made a movie about the historic moment of decoding.
Yes, Joan, what was the last 6 a.m. message?
L.
L.
A. Q.
O. M.
Y.
Y.
M.
M.
S.
S.
Y.
Y.
R.
R.
I.
I.
KMS Jaguar Aufpunkt is directed to 53 degrees 24 minutes north and Aufpunkt 1 degree west.
Turns out that's the only German you need to know to break Enigma.
The precise position of the German torpedo boat Jaguar, brilliantly decoded by the British, a moment that helped decide the war. A few decades later, James Bond received messages directly from his watch. Also perfect for hiding messages, a hollow shoe heel, and even a colourful scarf.
This is a scarf that was taken from a Stasi agent by West German intelligence. It's absorbed secret ink. So what the agent does is write a perfectly normal letter about something completely harmless, writing between the lines. Then she places the scarf over a document, and the ink seeps through. A tiny amount of the ink appears in the document. During the Cold War, these scarves were made specifically for women. After all, there were many more female agents than most spy movies would have us believe.
How was a package of secret material smuggled into communist East Germany? A former Stasi spy tells all.
They took the package and boarded a Berlin-bound train that traveled between the Western and Communist zone in Cologne. Then they went to the toilet and, using a coin as screwdriver, opened one of the ceiling panels. They wedged the package in there, screwed the panel back on, and made 3 small X's under the window. To put it very simply, everything was planned precisely, and signals sent the message that something was coming.
Spies might have to cross enemy territory on a mission. What happens if they get lost or are arrested? These 3 little helpers were used in wartime. A map beneath a playing card, a sharp blade disguised as a coin, and a razor which actually is a compass. Fritz Lang depicted escape like this: from a subway tunnel into the park. And in case of capture, the following rule always applied.
You were supposed to offer up something as evidence, which was undeniable. But then you'd say, okay, that's all I know.
And there's another possibility. James Bond demonstrates how to do it.
I have much curiosity, Bond-san. What is little Nellie?
Oh, she's a wonderful girl. Very small. Quite fast. Can do anything. Just your type.
A toy helicopter?
It's common knowledge that by the 1970s at the latest, technical development was far more advanced in the West than the East, no matter if it was computers, a broad range of radio systems, and so on. And it was clear that the East was importing Western technology again and again.
Sometimes there was a rare confrontation, and the enemy had to be eliminated. For example, using something that was easy to hide and seemingly harmless.
The KGB invented this murder device. It's a gas gun that can spray extremely deadly cyanide gas, but the agent could end up inhaling some themselves. That's why spies, as a rule, had antidotes for before and after firing the gun. There was a big plus with cyanide. Generally, it dispersed by the time the ambulance got there. The victim was dead, and the paramedics couldn't determine why they died.
Another Secret Service favourite is the legendary attaché case. It was also developed for personal protection. But those sporting the unassuming accessory for men had to aim precisely.
It's a special concealed weapon. The trick is that you can fire it without taking it out of the briefcase. That means the trigger was rigged with a mechanism that came out here between the handle. So if they thought there was going to be an attack, then in order to cushion the recoil, you'd hold it in front of your stomach and pull the trigger. So the gun would fire through the leather case and had the benefit of the surprise effect.
James Bond had his attaché case too, as an all-purpose weapon.
ordinary black leather case with 20 rounds of ammunition here and here. Now, if you take the top off, you'll find the ammunition inside. On the side here, flat throwing knife. Press that button there, and out she comes. Inside the case, you'll find an AR-7 folding sniper's rifle, .25 caliber, with an infrared telescopic sight.
During the 60s, the screenwriters in the James Bond films were very imaginative about technology that didn't yet exist. There are stories about the CIA director sitting in the movie theater and afterwards going straight to his technology department and telling his engineers, "Build this for me. I want one just like this."
A quick and easy murder with a glove gun. A Tarantino film made it famous. And it couldn't have been staged more smoothly than this.
When I kill that guy, you got 30 feet to get to that guy. Can you do it? I have to.
Champagne.
The heyday of ingenious inventions for spies seems to have passed. Or has it? Today it's all digital and everyone's got it.
These days you can easily get lots of spy tech on Amazon or other similar platforms, which can be made far more cheaply nowadays.
So are James Bond and Q finally history? Or are things just getting off the ground? Maybe spy tech is becoming more important than ever. Is it okay that everyone can access spy technology? Let us know what you think.